So it's January, and lots of people are now thinking about starting back to exercise, having had a break for Christmas, or maybe they've had a break for a period of time, life's got in the way, they've had children, or whatever it is. Some people are still absolutely fresh, brand new beginners to exercise. And for all of those people, we experience gymtimidation. It doesn't mean to say the gym. It can be any forms of exercise where actually the fear in your brain of what might it be like stops you from starting it in the first place. And it's also the thing that might get you there but stops you from continuing past January and you've given up by February. So as a beginner, one of the big things that people really sort of worry about is doing it wrong. And are they doing any harm? Are they making more harm than good? And particularly if you have suffered from injuries in the past, regardless of whether related to exercise, maybe you've got a bad back, you're not sure if that's going to hold out, maybe you've got some dodgy knees going on. The things that make you want to exercise in the first place are the fact that you're feeling a bit creaky, a bit achy, a bit feeling unfit. But they're the same things that people are fearful of that are not going to get them through the exercise. So here's our top tips for that gymtimidation when you are frightened and fearful of just starting out and maybe getting it wrong. First off, you're never going to be more body aware than when you're starting out. Honestly, we see all the time at the Pilates Pod people coming into the studio worried sometimes about moving. When actually, all day, every day, you're not thinking about it. You're moving quite healthily and normally fine without fear in your mind. Or also, people are moving in all sorts of not brilliant ways, but because you're very body aware when you're exercising, your brain almost takes over. So first tip, make sure you just move. Obviously, if you have got severe injuries and are in pain, you shouldn't be doing group stuff anyway. You should always be in private sessions with somebody if you have got issues. And obviously, you should be seeing your osteopath, physio, medical practitioner. But if you're just a bit creaky and a bit achy, then of course, just move. Movement will produce WD-40, that's my little squirty cam. WD-40, the natural WD-40, which is synovial fluid, will build up and be produced around your joints and lubricate them. So even though you feel a bit rubbish in the first instance, by just moving will make the body more flexible, more lubricated, more mobile. So enjoy it and just move. Try to let your body and your breath take over your mind a bit more. Try not to understand everything. You are a beginner, and nobody who is a master started as a master. They all started as beginners. So don't be embarrassed about everybody else in the class being better than you. Remember, they were all beginners at one point too, and remember that you are a beginner on the road to getting better. This is stage one. So you're never going to understand it properly. Again, when we see people in Pilates, they want to know all the time, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Do you need to move me a little inch? Inches and millimeters aren't going to make a difference, honestly. If you're doing it very wrong, we will tell you. But otherwise, it's the body you've had for quite a while. You've been walking around, sitting, moving, standing, whatever, with the body that you've got for quite a while, probably out of shape, misaligned, all sorts of imbalances. Then you come to Pilates and you want it to be perfect. Don't worry about it. It's the body you've got. Work towards making small adjustments and changes so that later you will understand it better as you move. We call it in Pilates just starting out with a movement experience. You want to just experience what it's like to move around the studio using the towers, the wonder chair, the high chair, the pedal. Well, you won't be using a pedal from the beginning, but you know what I mean. All the apparatus in the studio, you'll be playing with all the apparatus. It is just you exploring the studio, you exploring what Pilates is like, and whatever you're doing in exercise, it's you exploring movement. Later on, as you progress, you will feel that you're defining it and refining it a bit more. So you're becoming more aware of it, fine-tuning it a bit more in your body, understanding it more from the mind, but that comes from repetition. Later on, as you get really good at it years later, then of course you're mastering something, but it's not about that at the beginning. So just move. There are top tips for just moving as a beginner. Let your brain go a little bit, let go of your conscious mind, and just enjoy the experience of movement. Make something a habit. Do it regularly, and then your brain will follow what your body's doing anyway. So just enjoy movement as a beginner.